Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. In this series of short videos, I would like to talk about creativity in music. I was always fascinated by the Yamaha Group program and the emphasis that it puts on teaching students how to express their feelings and channel their emotions through composing their own original pieces. Our junior original composition concert continues to be a great success, but it always felt that there was not enough time in the context of the program to cover all aspects of the composition and to enable students to develop their fullest potential in composing the pieces. This is how the idea of creating a Composition Master program came to light. In this video, I would like to share our vision, what the program is all about, and who this program is designed for. To help me to deliver accurate information, I've asked two of our wonderful composition teachers, Mr. Dmitry and Miss Alondra, to join me and answer a few questions, to provide their own unbiased opinion. So let's get started. When is the right time to start teaching students how to compose? And what are prerequisites for teaching a composition?
There is no exact time when the student's supposed to start learning composition. In the same time, we highly recommend the student to have several years of playing experience. Talking about Royal Conservatory of Music program, probably gonna talk about the level 3 graduate. And Yamaha-wise, probably gonna be junior advanced course, at least the first level.
So I believe that the students should have some basic knowledge of music already. So I think within 2 to 3 years after playing their instrument should be good. They should have some basic knowledge of theory, like major keys versus minor keys. I feel like they should have some experience playing different types of pieces as well in their years, and have some ability in the playing, either piano, guitar, trumpet, any instrument that they want. So that way they have some tools already that they can apply to the creativity process.
Why do you think it's important to teach a child how to compose?
Teaching students how to compose music is very important. And there are many different factors why it's so important. I'll touch some of those. On my opinion, primarily the kid need to know how to properly express themselves and channel their emotions through creating the song. Music creating is a great platform in terms of expressing their emotions, and quite often parents and even teachers might be very, very surprised and discover a very interesting way how truly kids feel about certain things in their lives. Creating music can really lead them to start developing their playing abilities and their theory knowledge, because they eventually come to the certain point when creating a complex song might be tricky without knowing certain theory and without being able to perform the song and play this.
I love this question. I think it's very important to teach them the tools to express themselves and to really engage in their imagination and creativity. So I can put the example of myself. When I was a little kid, I loved to write stories, and I would write a lot of tales and stories. And when I came to Canada and English was not my first language, I found it really hard to write in a different language. And then I discovered music, and I always thought that writing music was like writing stories in this beautiful language. So I believe that it's important for the students to have this ability and being able to play what they feel and what they think of.
Do you think composition is only limited to those who know how to play piano?
Not at all. I think that anybody who has some knowledge of instrument playing can learn. We will most likely start, most of our students are piano players, so we'll most likely start with writing pieces for piano, but we can always expand to playing different instruments. So even to our piano players, we'll teach them how to write for violin and trumpet. In fact, I had a student who once wrote for violin and piano because her mom played violin, and they were able to play that piece together.
Obviously, piano is a universal instrument, and it's probably the easiest instrument to produce a sound, and that's why quite often students prefer to use a piano to create the music. I can say many students in my classes really like to create a music for the piano because they are not really limited in terms of involving some other people in a performance process. In the same time, music can be created on any kind of instrument. I know several of my students who really like singing and they really like to create some type of pop songs. Students who like playing on flute, clarinet, or even a bass guitar. And I don't see any problem why students cannot create a song based on their own favorite instrument.
So in the essence, if I hear it right, essentially the student playing any instrument can be taught how to compose their pieces.
Absolutely.
All right, what are the first steps in teaching composition?
I would say there are 3 steps when we're creating the music. The first one is creating certain type of image or the storyline, then defining the components or details of this image, and trying to use this to create the song already on a technical level.
For instance, we will always start with an image, a picture of something, and we want to start by creating a story of this image and making it move. So making it have a past, a present, and maybe where the image is going, and talk about those details of what is pictured. So maybe does it look like it's a happy picture? Does it look like it's a sad picture? And from there, after we have a story, we can go into the musical components.
When we're talking about the technical part of creating music, we're taking those components, what Alondra just talked about, and we're trying to implement them in creating certain type of melody. When we talk about it, we're probably going to start from choosing the proper mode. For instance, when we talk about the sad story, it's probably going to be minor mode. When we talk about the happy one, it's going to be major mode. Depending on how long going to be the story, we're probably going to choose like several sections creating the song. We're obviously going to start with creating certain type of core of the melody, one of what we call motif. Motif could be very, very short. It could be even a couple of notes long. But depending on how does it go, it will really affect how the melody will go further. The melody itself is about 8 bars long, but it could be even longer than this. Do you mind to give us a certain example? We can explain you a bit more particularly what we're talking about.
Let's say the monkey is jumping on the tree.
Okay, Miss Alondra?
Yes, so we can picture this happy monkey probably swinging on the tree first. So we already have a beginning. He's swinging on the tree happily, and then he's maybe jumping to the next branch of the tree. Maybe in the future, as he's trying to jump to the last branch, he falls down. So we already have a past, a present, a future. I have created this story of this monkey happily swinging and then falling down. So Mr. D, how would you go about it, writing a song?
Okay, well, first of all, from what I heard, the story is happy enough, except probably the finale of the story. At the beginning, it's definitely going to go in a certain type of major mode. Again, from what I heard from Miss Alondra, it's about the swinging or bouncing, which definitely going to affect our articulation, which means that melody probably going to go in kind of a bouncy way. When we talk about the melody itself and just like creating a motif, we're probably going to start talking about the certain leaps between the notes, because again, when we talk about bouncing and jumping, we cannot talk about just like the melody moving stepwise. Talking about end of the story, it's probably going to come to certain dramatical end, so there's going to be certain type of climax when the melody going to reach the certain height and then falls down to the ground, so probably back to the main note of the song.
My next question is group versus individual composition lessons. Which one is better and why?
I think they both have their pros and their cons. They're very different, and it really depends on the student and what it's better for them. I think that the group lessons offers really great pros in the fact that you get inspired by your peers. There's this peer pressure, peer pleasure, and I do see that some kids can ask certain questions that others might not have thought of, but are great to target as well. However, I think that in the group lesson, the progress of writing the piece might be a little slower because we have a few more students at a time. And the individual lessons, the pros, it offers the student to go at their own pace, maybe go deeper into certain aspects of the songs, but it limits them into in the sense that they can only ask the questions they are thinking of. They will not go outside of what they think of and what it's in their mind.
There's no right answer. It's truly depend on the student himself, and some students feel much more comfortable working in a group settings, especially those who are shy enough to express themselves. In a group setting, students might be really inspired by each other, and what probably going to help them create their own music. Within individual settings, student can work on his own pace, and teacher also might go much deeper in details, working on the particular composition.
How does the student know if the song sounds good, or how long or short should it be?
Well, that really depends on the student and what they want to convey in their story of the piece. Of course, the teacher is there as a guiding force and letting them know if there is a section that may be necessary to be repeated for clarity, or if something might be too long and maybe might be shorter. But if the student has a strong sense of what they want to say and they are successful in conveying their meaning, then I believe the piece is good. I believe that it's a good piece if the composer believes it's good. Chances are there are listeners there that are gonna think that it's good as well.
There are no such thing like a good or bad song, neither long or short songs. The song is good when the student is confident enough with the song.
How long will it take to teach a student how to compose?
It depends on the student. At the beginning, when we're just learning, a short melody of 8 bars could take anywhere between 2 to 3 months to have both right hand and the left hand, but a longer piece will certainly take longer. An ensemble piece could take anywhere between 6 months to up to a year, depending on how long, on how many instruments they want to write for.
I've heard about improvisation. Is there a difference between composition and improvisation?
There isn't any big difference between composition and improvisation, because I think improvisation is a part of composition and composition is a part of improvisation. We touch improvisation as the most common part of this is a jazz improvisation. We can say that that's a composition which created in a moment, instantly, on a fly. You don't need to spend hours and days on creating this composition, but you just create it right on the go. As a part of teaching this in a class, I use improvisation a lot because improvisation quite often helps spontaneously create the melody or just the certain section of the song. I highly recommend students to improvise at home and even record themselves, because they suddenly can come up with a very surprising way of how to continue the melody. So concluding this one, I would say that improvisation is tool and very important tool to work on your composition.
Do students compose just for one instrument, the one that they can play on?
We will most likely start like that because they are familiar with their instruments, but that doesn't necessarily mean they will only write for that for just the one. Later on, we'll develop writing maybe for voice as well, and writing songs as well as ensemble playing. And that's the beauty of doing group lessons as well, because then they can have some friends that could play their piece with them.
They will learn different instruments. I want to reiterate it, but in the same time, I want to say when they are writing the song, they shouldn't be able to play that instrument. They can play this on their keyboards using the digital sounds. And yes, they can create a song for pretty much the whole orchestra.
What styles of music will they be taught to compose for?
Part of our project is to teach students to create a song in different styles of music and different genres of music. They obviously were taught before in a classical style, and we most likely will be starting from the rules and technique of classical music. In the same time, I should say that creating jazz music, jazz standards, creating rock music and even pop music is also part of our project.
That depends on the students and what they like. The composition techniques can be put into use for any style, be it classical, jazz, pop. So the beginning technical aspects of composing will be the same, and it depends on the student what style they want to explore. We will try and touch upon all the styles the same way that they do in playing.
And I guess my last question would be, all right, the composition is ready, that's great. So what's next? What can they do with the composition?
That's a great question. There's many different ways to feel like you can showcase your composition. We are always constantly looking for more opportunities for our students to perform. We have our junior original concert every year where they can perform their compositions. We also have we put their compositions in a little booklet and showcase them. And we can also offer them to younger students for extra repertoire playing, maybe the summertime, or if they want to learn other pieces by students from our school.
Okay, we've got you excited, right? And you may wonder what the next steps are. Just send us an email or give us a call, and I will be happy to provide additional information. We're also planning to offer a series of demo classes throughout the summer, so you can experience the program in action. Give us a call and let's get your child to present their very first original composition to the world.